Golchha organization has been an active participant in sustainable development, with one of its subsidiaries being solar grids created under its sister company, Hipco Infra Private Limited. Golchha organization has time aims to accelerate Nepal's transition with scalable energy solutions. It is now my honor to introduce the person behind this inspiring initiative for innovation that sustains, Mr. Himanshu Golchha, the Director of Golchha Green Energy Private Limited.
Yogendra Singh Yadawat sir from Everest Bank, Keshav Raj Paudel sir from Everest Bank, Sandeep sir from SOPAN, and our members from NEA, private sector, media people. I would like to thank everyone for coming for this solar workshop. So with our mission of renewable energy, like we know, Nepal is already quite surplus in hydro energy. We have a lot of hydro energy. So we believe that solar, with the 960 megawatt project that NEA has come, it will help in balancing the grid and also the energy mix of the country. So along with doing solar installations in Nepal, we are also manufacturing the solar mounting structure. So we are galvanizing and making the solar mounting structure in Nepal. So for all the EPC projects that are coming up for NEA, we can give locally manufactured solutions for your ground mounting systems. The factory is located in Jitpur, Simra, and we have the hat profile and C sections for installing the solar panels. Transmission line towers, substation structure, poles. So once the power generation starts from the solar plant itself, then we can help you make the transmission line, the substation structure, or anything that is related to the solar plant. Along with us, we also have some EPC players. So in terms of making transmission lines, so we have some EPC players who can help you make the transmission line for the project. So we are working with a lot of local EPC players, and we are working with a few hydropowers to do their transmission lines in Nepal. Other than that, solar is also used for street lighting. So along with the solar panels, we also make the poles. So we have different kinds of poles like tubular poles, octagonal poles, which we can supply with the street light. And in today's event, we also would like to announce that we have a strategic partnership with KSL, and our friend Mr. Aditya has come from India, and they have a very big, long experience of almost 17 to 18 years with a rich history in solar, of rooftop installation and ground-mounted installation. So we're tying up with them to explore and to help in Nepal's market. So along with solar system, I just visited China, the fair in Shanghai, SNEC 2025, and it was an amazing fair because it's one of the biggest fairs for solar, and battery energy storage system is the new thing. So battery energy storage system, which can take the power from your solar panels and store that energy and give it to you in peak voltage time, which will be the requirement of Nepal, of the grid. And even like, I think AEPC has helped for the past 25, 30 years to adopt the policy of solar. So I think with their help, we can also adopt, battery storage system initiatives in Nepal, which will help have mini grids. There are also homes now in USA, in Australia, that are completely, working without the connection of the grid, or they have connected with the grid, and they have solar panels, battery energy storage systems, and they're powering their homes, they're charging their EVs. This reduces the cost of, reduces the electricity bill cost, because the per unit rate of electricity is very expensive. And even in remote areas in Nepal, like where we don't have power or grid connectivity, these kind of systems can be very useful for homes, and they are available for 15 kilowatt, 9 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt systems as well. This is more for the grid. So even in the grid, because we have peak surge demand, so to balance the grid, even partners from NEA can look at systems for energy storage. So this is a container which is for 5 megawatt. So basically, in 5 megawatt energy storage system can be deployed with just a container, and it can help for power backups. And interestingly, like for many manufacturing units now, it's also become a substitute for generators. So instead of having generators in which you have to use diesel and burn electricity, make electricity for almost 50 rupees per unit, Instead of that, if you have a battery storage system for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, it can give you a battery storage solution. And the government of Nepal has also, in this budget, we welcome that. The government of Nepal has reduced the duty on battery systems. So I think going ahead, this can be a technology which is very useful for Nepal as well. So thank you. Along with this, I would like to end my presentation, and I would like thank you all for listening to this.
Let us now introduce a key partner that has made today's collaboration possible. KSL Cleantech Limited, India's trailblazing renewable energy initiative. With years of experience and more than 400 successful projects across India, KSL has emerged as a leader in solar systems, energy storage units, electricity mobility, and green infrastructure. Their track record in engineering, procurement, and construction makes them an ideal collaborator for Nepal's growing solar ecosystem. And Golchha Green Energy Private Limited is proud to partner with them to steer ahead the concept of innovation that sustains. Now I'd like to welcome onto the stage Mr. Aditya Bhag Chandak, Director of KSL Cleantech Limited, as they share their technical expertise.
First of all, thank you to all the guests who have come here and tried to support us. All the people from the government, banks, private people, EPC players. So first of all, thank you so much. KSL Cleantech, as you might have heard during the event, we have a track record of approximately 18 years. We started our company in 2008, been doing government projects, private projects. We have an operational portfolio of more than 200 megawatts in India currently. And now we have finally come to the mountain city or the mountain country, which we call it. We actually like to thank Golchha Green and Himanshuji for actually giving us this opportunity to come here and showcase our skill sets in front of you, esteemed guests. So, it's already been discussed what exactly do we do, our strengths. I'll just quickly go by it. So as you can see, we are an 18-year-old company having in-house capabilities of engineering, procurement, commissioning, and also operation and maintenance. So that gives us the entire package which we offer to our clients in India, which we will also be offering to our clients in Nepal with Golchha Green taking the lead in the whole projects. Apart from this, we also actually provide value-added services like finance options, operation and maintenance options, and as Himanshuji already mentioned, through Golchha we'll also be offering our solar structure systems. So the solar structure can also be then made in Nepal. We are also channel partners of Adani Solar. In East India, we are authorized channel partners, and we have been working with them for the last 5 years. We've already installed more than 30 to 35 megawatts only with Adani panels across various industries, so rooftop industries, manufacturing industries, ground-mounted systems, and it actually has been a fabulous result which we have received. So some of our projects, we are currently doing a 100 megawatt ground-mounted system in Nepal, in India. This is for a steel company, one of India's largest steel companies. Apart from that, we have done in jute mills, we have done in government projects, railway stations, telecom towers, Reserve Bank of India, Border Security Force. So if you see, the portfolio is spread out. Why is it important? Because India being a large country, being a diverse country, the geographical challenges which we get, like a northern Indian state versus a south Indian state, or let's say East Indian state with and a West Indian state, the geographical locations, the weather conditions, the overall generation output actually differs a lot in India. In that, the engineering part becomes quite interesting and quite challenging. because different locations have got different radiation levels, different generation outputs. So the engineering then becomes the key part, apart from the quality materials, the entire engineering, the entire procurement, and the entire commissioning. Because at least in India, when solar started 10 years back, there was a myth that, if you just take the best module and the best inverter and the best cable, you could actually put up a good solar plant. With the time and with the innovations and with the acceptability of solar, it soon came, the client soon came to realize that only the materials don't matter. The entire engineering, the entire way of commissioning the plant is also what defines whether the plant will run for 3 years or the plant will run for 25 years. One of the proud moments, I think, which in the last 17 or 18 years, which I have been a part of KSL, I think we have a success rate of more than 99.9%, which means that plants which we installed 17 years back. So there was one of the plants in the background which we installed in 2007. That was a very, very small plant of 6 kilowatt, which we installed in the government of Lucknow. And it's still running and it's still giving the output which was expected out of the plant. So I mean to say that, we as stakeholders, and I request all the stakeholders, the government agencies, the finance banks, the EPC players, and the clients as well, we have to realize that a solar plant is an asset for 25 years. A solar plant can give you electricity, free electricity for 25 years. So we should also, having that thought in mind, we should think about what kind of a quality of materials we are choosing. In India, when solar plants started, the clients did not want to understand what was being installed on their rooftop. As I said, people were only worried about the brand of inverter and the brand of solar panels and the wires. Obviously, that's very, very important. But apart from that, the way the engineering is being done, the way the commissioning is being done, whether there are any water leakages happening after 5 years in your factory, so these small things also defines how a solar system will work after 15 or 20 or 25 years, especially with the OPEX model coming in, where PPAs are being signed at a lower rate. So as EPC, we feel it is our responsibility to provide the best quality of the entire package and not just one part of the material. Just some of our client testimonials. Laser Power is one of the largest cable manufacturers in Asia. We've installed a 1 megawatt plant in Calcutta. We've worked with with Eastern Railway, where we have installed more than 5 megawatts on railway stations in India. Some of our partners, as I said, Adani is something which we work with, Longi, Trina, Polycab, Havels. In inverters, we work with Solis, Growwatt, ABB. Yeah. Our offices across India and our projects, so we have approximately 5 offices in India and projects which we have done across. So this is something I'll just take 2 seconds and explain. So as I said, India being a very, very diverse country, if you see, we have projects spread across India, right from northeast, where the temperatures go down really, really, low. There is fog, there is rainfall, versus Rajasthan, where the temperatures are extremely high. We get dust storms, we get sandstorms. The soil quality, the land quality, all of them actually makes the solar system, the generation output. So being the diverse country as India is, and the bigger the country that India is, that then EPC becomes a more challenging part, where we have to take care of the weather conditions, the soil conditions, the clientele, everything, keeping in mind the 25 years that we have to operate this plant. So we've actually just made a small ROI sheet. So I'll just move away and I'll just try and speak a little loudly, because I think it will help us. So if we just take a sample ROI calculation, if we see a 1 megawatt power plant, if we install it, and this we have made it in the Nepali rupees for everyone to understand it well. So if we consider a 1 megawatt power plant rooftop, the generation which we expect is approximately 12 lakh units. Again, this is a very benchmark figure. It might go up and down depending on the location of the land of the factory actually. But let's assume we generate 12 lakh units a year. The estimated cost of the project is approximately 3 crore 50 lakh Nepali rupees. Please forgive me if while talking I just say INR a lot of times, but I'll try and say Nepali rupees. But it's 3 crore 50 lakh 3 crore 50 lakh Nepali rupees, which is a total investment on the plant. So that's the total investment, which a benchmark investment which a client would have to do if he installs 1 megawatt power plant. Considering electricity rate is at 8.5 rupees, and the electricity savings is approximately 1 crore 20 lakh. So approximately the plant gets free in 3.5 years. Savings is 1 crore 20 lakh, 3 crore 50 lakh rupees is the total investment, and you save 1 crore 20 lakh every year. So approximately in 3 years, your plant is actually free. Now, one thing which I generally, make a point out of this ROI, though it is a beautiful ROI, in 3 years your plant is getting free. What we again have to go back to the concept is that this plant can still give you free electricity for 25 years. So technically, even if we consider that the plant runs for 20 years, you still get 17 to 18 years of free electricity after your investments have actually come out. Now, I think that is something which in the last couple of decades, or let's say couple of 3 decades, I don't think something as a better ROI has come up in terms of power. So yeah, again, we'll just want to show a video of one of our projects, just for everyone to understand exactly what kind of a rooftop system looks like, and we know what goes into it. So this was for a jute mill in Calcutta, which we did. It was a 1.8 megawatt plant. This plant has actually been running for the last 3 years. So just want again a 5-second, I'll just get a brief. So this is which we call a manual cleaning system. Now, if you see the 2 gentlemen over here, they're standing on a yellow FRP walkway. When solar started back in India, people were not offering this FRP walkway, because of which what was happening is, when these workers used to go up and clean the solar plant, they used to trip and they used to fall. They used to fall down off the plant, and a lot of accidents used to happen, because of which the plant owner used to get into legal problems. Now, this is not something which is regulated by the government that we have to give it. But as I said, when we kept on installing solar projects and we kept on, innovating in the whole EPC area, that how can we make it more safer, how can we make it more reliable, how can we make it more easier to maintain the plant, so that the life of the plant actually increases. So these are the small things which we actually started incorporating in our EPC offerings, where we install these FRP walkways so that the person can walk on them. They are very, very safe to walk. They during rain, during the actual cleaning, they don't get wet, so they don't get slippery and people don't fall off. All our operation team, they wear the safety belts, they wear helmets. So just very small things which we actually take care of to make sure that it's actually safe for the installation team and also on the operation and the maintenance team. Because the better we do the operation and maintenance, the solar plant will give us more generation. One interesting fact about this plant was that it was actually installed on a jute mill. Jute mills in Calcutta are more than 50, 60, 70 years old. So the structures which you see over here, I'm not talking about the shed, but I'm talking about the structure on which the new shed is being, all of them are like 70, 60, 70 years old. Again, it was a very, very good experience for us, very, very challenging experience for us to engineer the kind of array layout, to engineer the kind of solar modules, the angles at which it will be, it will be installed, the entire weight distribution, how will it be installed. So those things are actually very, very challenging in terms of these structures, because very old structures, we didn't get the drawings of these structures, because 80-year-old structures, no one had the drawings, no one had the architectural drawings, no one knew exactly what kind of a load bearing capacity will these structures be able to take. Again, something which we learned, something which we innovated, and something which we successfully installed. Very, very proudly, we can say that at least in the jute industry in the whole of India, we have more than 80% of market share in terms of solar rooftop and ground mounted systems. Uh, Again, it wasn't something only to do with products, it was an overall package of commissioning, installation, the entire engineering of the plant. So that is something which was very challenging about this particular plant. That was it. Gentleman here is the I don't know, the video for some reason is not there, but the gentleman is the head of Eastern Railway, sits in Havra. We've done, as I said, more than 5 megawatts of active solar plants with the Indian Railways. Indian Railways actually is one of the most toughest clients we've actually faced. The reason being that they have their own quality, the quality assurance plans. They have their own set of quality parameters, which and right from the structure till and they have their own installation procedures which we have to follow. They are so strict on the quality. So again, a very enriching experience, because that is something which we never experienced it before, where we had to work with a government organization on their parameters and successfully get this plant up and running. I think this plant is running for more than 4.5 years now. In fact, the plant is generating 20% more output than what we had actually committed the government. So again, it was because of the parameters set by the government and our engineering team. But yeah, as I said, it was something to do with it. I actually wanted to take just 2 minutes, since Nepal is very, very upcoming and very, very promising in terms of solar power. Really, really thankful for the government and all the stakeholders present over here to take this initiative of promoting solar power. I would just like to take 2 minutes in getting some clarity on the differences between rooftop and ground mounted solar. I think it's very important that since we've all gathered here, we should understand the basic differences between a rooftop and a ground mounted solar. Rooftop solar, as we all know, as it sounds, it's installed on the roof of a commercial building, factory, house. A ground mounted solar is actually installed on the ground, and we both generate power from the same. However, there are certain differences. A ground mounted solar is a completely different installation process than a rooftop solar. In a ground mounted system solar, we have to be more careful depending on what kind of a soil quality are we getting, how much rainfall are we getting, what's the kind of pressure which the structure will be able to take, the solar structure will be able to take for the next 25 years, whether there will be any damages on the modules. Versus a rooftop where the focus is more on the wind speed. What kind of a wind speed does that area have on a regular basis, so that if there is a thunderstorm, if there is a heavy winds, we should not have modules flying over. Number two is again the whole complexity of a ground mounted solar. We generally do ground mounted solar of more than 10 megawatts, which is again engineering wise much more complex and much more challenging, because a lot of other heavy electronics come into it, your power transformers, your inverter duty transformers, your inverters. Versus a rooftop solar where actual capacity even in India today is on an average 2 to 3 megawatt on a general rooftop, which is relatively easier than a ground mounted system. But both has its own set of challenges and both has its own set of positivities. Nepal, I personally believe, is a great opportunity, since solar is a very upcoming and it's being taken very well over here. A lot of industries are now trying to come up and accept solar power as one of the prime sources of power. So yeah, I really do hope we can answer all your questions. We are all here to answer your queries, your questions. If anything we can be helpful of, we'll be more than glad. I again thank everyone over here who have joined us today, especially Himanshu ji, to organize such a fabulous event for all of us. And thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bagchandak and Mr. Golchha. So if anybody has any questions regarding anything mentioned in the presentation, the KSL team is here to answer any queries that you have. So please feel free to ask. Be led by one of the leading figures in the banking field, Everest Bank Private Limited. A warm round of applause.
इन्डस्ट्रियल फिगर हुनुहुन्छ र ब्याङ्कको अति राम्रो एक ग्रेट क्लाइन्ट पनि हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँले सुरु गरेको प्रोजेक्टको लागि ब्याङ्कको तर्फबाट हामीले सपोर्ट गर्नेछौँ र उहाँहरूले ल्याएको अहिले भर्खर एउटा प्रोजेक्टको लागि उहाँहरूको आफ्नै यहाँहरूको रिक्वायरमेन्ट फुलफिल गर्नलाई चाहिँ तयार छौँ। फेरि पनि हाम्रो भीमाशुजीको प्रोजेक्टलाई धेरै धेरै शुभकामना दिँदै धन्यवाद भन्न चाहन्छु।
हालको गाउँ गाउँमा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सप्लाई गर्ने प्रोजेक्टहरुमा पनि AEPC ले धेरै साथ दिएको छ। DKTI project manager Mr. Santosh Rai, who is going to share a few words with us. So please welcome him.
Entity actually looking after renewable energy and energy efficiency programs and activities here in Nepal. So our institution falls under Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, MOEWRI we call it. So it's a state-owned institution actually. So today I'm more focused, I'll be more concentrating on solar rooftop system because today Golchha Green Energy has organized a program on solar rooftop and ground-mounted solar projects. So I have tried to concentrate more on rooftop solar, which AEPC has been implementing and promoting in Nepal, here in Nepal. So my presentation will be concentrated on solar rooftop, but in the beginning I'll briefly go through the what we have been doing in the last 30 years by AEPC. So please allow me to make it in hybrid mode, in both in Nepali and English language. So this is just for information. Most of you already know what is the energy mix scenario here in Nepal. If you see out of the total energy mix here in Nepal, the share of traditional energy is almost 64%, and the commercial one is 25.8%. And if you see the grid electricity, it comes around 7 and 7.5%. And while what we are talking today is renewables, so if you see the renewables, the contribution of renewable is only 3.1% actually. So if you see here in the left one, this one is electricity generation mix in Nepal. The most of the, as we all know, the most of the electricity is coming from hydroelectricity here in Nepal, almost 92%. And if you see biofuels, only 0.2, other renewables 3, and solar, contribution of solar in total electricity generation is 2.8, almost 3%. So, and thermal power plant is very negligible. Thank you. So, if you see the solar potential, overall solar potential of Nepal, this one was developed by the Global Solar Atlas. This has the source of this information is Global Solar Atlas 2021. And if you see here, the overall solar potential in Nepal is quite interesting. So, almost all zones are yellow zones, which means the intensity, the solar radiation is quite good in the yellow regions, almost throughout the country. And if you see in the Himalayan, on the northern regions, it is even better. Next click. There are others also. You can click next one also. One more click also. So if you see average solar radiation in Nepal, it falls under, it is, depending upon the geographical area, starting from 3.6 to 6.2 in some cases, in some places. If you see sunshine days per year, it is almost more than, actually it is more than 300 days per year. So that means the solar potential is quite good. Solar radiation is quite good here in Nepal. So in Nepal case, this one is not readable, I guess. So if you take, in Nepal case, if you take 0.5% of the total land use for solar installation, then the overall potential, solar potential can be calculated as 430 gigawatt actually. Based on this is the estimation actually. So if you take 0.1%, then it would be 86 megawatt. So यहाँबाट के थाहा हुन्छ भने हामीलाई सोलरको पोटेन्शियल धेरै राम्रो छ नेपालमा, रेडिएसन पनि धेरै राम्रो छ, त्यही भएर सोलरबाट इनर्जी हार्नेसिङ गर्नको लागि चाहिँ म एप्रोप्रिएट, वान अफ द एप्रोप्रिएट कन्ट्री हो भन्ने चाहिँ यसबाट देखाउँछ। हामीले डेभलप कन्ट्रीहरू, हामीले जर्मनी अरू देशहरूमा हेऱ्यौँ भने उहाँहरूकोमा त्यो सोलर चाहिँ रेडिएसन धेरै नै कम छ, तर पनि उहाँहरूले धेरै इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गरेर सोलर र विन्डबाट धेरै इनर्जी हार्नेस गरिराख्नु भएको छ। तर हाम्रोमा रेडिएसन धेरै राम्रो हुँदाहुँदै पनि हामीले धेरै गर्न सकेका छैनौँ र हामी हाइड्रोबाट चाहिँ, हाइड्रोमा राम्रै गरिरहेछौँ, तर सोलरमा चाहिँ त्यति धेरै प्रगति गर्न सकेका छैन अहिलेसम्म पनि। अब हामीले यो, इफ यु सी हियर फ्यु इन्फर्मेसन what we have achieved in last 25 to 30 years, a Alternative Energy Promotion Center has already installed, promoted more than almost 10,000 solar home systems. That means these solar home systems are used for electrifying the off-grid houses in the remote areas actually. So before, previously, most of the Himalayan regions and the mountain regions were off-grid regions actually in Nepal. So to electrify, to pre-electrify actually, in those households, we used to promote solar home systems, but this is not the case now. So if you see institutional solar, please. If you see cumulative of above 90 megawatt had been already promoted by Alternative Energy Promotion Center, including all these technologies of solar energy here in Nepal. So we have been promoting institutional solar PV, solar mini grid for off-grid application, solar rooftop. I will be coming back with solar rooftop later in my later presentation, PPT slides. So solar drinking water and irrigation projects are also implemented by AEPC, and solar street lights in the past, and solar system installation in religious places we have done, accomplished already. The next one. So if you see in the website of Department of Electricity Development, actually the DOED is a state-owned entity which issues a license for electricity projects, energy projects here in Nepal. So if you see there, sir from Sopan is here already, so he will be focusing more on this probably. So I will not be focusing more on this one. So if you see Nepal Electricity Authority, NEA has already issued intent to award 960 megawatt of solar power projects here in Nepal. The NEA PPA rate ceiling is 5.94 Nepali rupees per unit per kilowatt hour. And if you see the proposals have ranged between 4.99 Nepali rupees per kilowatt hour to 5.55 Nepali rupees per kilowatt hour. So this has been also gone down if you compare with the past. Next one, please. Now I'm focusing on more on rooftop solar from this presentation, from this slide actually. So हामीले कस्तो छ भने हाम्रो RE subsidy policy 2022 भन्ने छ नेपालमा. We have RE subsidy policy 2022, according to which AEPC has been providing up to 50% interest subsidy for 5 years for solar rooftop projects actually here in Nepal. So if you see this SECF is Sustainable Energy Challenge Fund 2023. Under SECF Challenge Fund, AEPC has been providing, supporting up to NPR 1.5 per kilowatt hour for 5 years. So we have two modalities of support for to a solar rooftop project actually. So what we offer to private sector from AEPC is based on the fiscal act of government of Nepal. We also provide recommendation for VAT and tax exemption for solar equipment and component, on which Himangshu ji was also highlighting in his remarks. So AEPC has been providing this recommendation to private sector for last several years. र अर्को हाम्रो के छ भने टेक्निकल र इएनएस सेफगार्ड भन्ने पनि हुन्छ हाम्रोमा। हाम्रो चाहिँ यो प्रोजेक्ट चाहिँ यो केएफडब्ल्यू को सपोर्टमा, जर्मन सरकारको केएफडब्ल्यू मार्फत सपोर्टेड प्रोजेक्ट भएकोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामीले यो केएफडब्ल्यू को इन्भाइरोमेन्ट र सोशल सेफगार्ड स्ट्यान्डर्डहरू पनि कम्प्लाई गर्नुपर्छ र त्यो चाहिँ उहाँहरूले केएफडब्ल्यूले चाहिँ मोस्टली वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कको इएनएस स्ट्यान्डर्डहरू फलो गर्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरूले र त्यसको लागि पनि हाम्रो टेक्निकल टिम छ र त्यो पनि अब प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई चाहिँ अलिकति बर्डन हुने कि उहाँहरूलाई एडिसनल वर्क हुने हो कि भनेर हामीले एउटा डेडिकेटेड युनिट राखेर हाम्रोमा एक्सपर्ट इन्भाइरोमेन्ट र सोशल सेफगार्डको एक्सपर्टहरू हुन्छ। त्यही भएर तपाईँहरूलाई चाहिँ प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई सपोर्ट चाहिँ हाम्रो त्यो डेडिकेटेड इएनएस एक्सपर्टहरूले चाहिँ तपाईँहरूलाई इएनएस कम्प्लायन्स गर्नलाई सपोर्ट गर्नुहुन्छ। नेक्स्ट वन प्लिज। नेक्स्ट वन। सो वाइ almost all of us are very aware about this, but I'm repeating it once again here because the bank people are also here, bank representatives are here. So why we should promote the solar rooftop in Nepal? हामीले किन गर्ने त रुफटप सोलर किन चाहियो हामीलाई? हामीसँग हाइड्रो नै प्रशस्त मात्रामा छ, 3600 मेगावाट जति हामीले जेनेरेसन गरिरहेछौँ। त्योभन्दा बढी चाहिँ पाइपलाइनमा छ, अरू मेगावाटहरू थपिँदैछ। हामीले सोलर रुफटप नेपालमा किन गर्नु पर्यो? यसको ऱ्यासनलहरू चाहिँ के छ त गर्नुपर्ने कारणहरू भन्दाखेरि हामीले यो इन्डस्ट्रीहरूमा चाहिँ स्पेसियली यो इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सलाई चाहिँ बढी फाइदाजनक हुने देखिन्छ। इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सहरूमा आजको दिनमा पनि हजुरहरूले हेर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ दे हेभ बिन युजिङ डिजल जेनेरेटर्स, they have not left out diesel generators. You will not find any industry or commerce without diesel generators here in Nepal till date. So with the use of solar rooftop, with the cheaper electricity price, kilowatt hour generation cost, we can reduce monthly electricity bill of those industries and commerce. And this second one is same thing, similar to one. So, and it also helps to supply, improve the power supply reliability and power quality also. Actually, it also helps Nepal Electricity Authority to enhance, improve their power supply and reliability inside commercial industry, as well as it will be also helpful to support NEA, a complete system also, power system also. And if you see the decarbonization targets of the country as well as the industry, and if you in special case of multinational companies and industries, there are their own decarbonization target actually. So this solar rooftop also helps to meet their decarbonization target also, and it also helps to maintain energy security as well. र हामीले यो हाम्रो नेपालमा त हामी त इम्पोर्टिङ कन्ट्री हो, फसिल फ्युलको हामीसँग छैन, चाहिँ हामीसँग सोर्स नभएकोले गर्दाखेरि, हामीसँग स्रोतहरू नभएकोले गर्दाखेरि हामीले चाहिँ फोसिल फ्युल सबै हामीले चाहिँ इम्पोर्ट नै गर्ने हो। र त्यो इम्पोर्टलाई पनि घटाउनलाई केही न केही मात्रामा सोलर रुफटप, सोलरको जुनसुकै टेक्नोलोजी पनि, ग्राउन्ड माउन्टेडदेखि लिएर जुनसुकै टेक्नोलोजी होस्, रिन्युएबल इनर्जीको टेक्नोलोजीहरूले चाहिँ हामीलाई चाहिँ फोसिल फ्युलको कन्जम्सन र इम्पोर्ट घटाउनलाई चाहिँ मद्दत गर्छ यसले। त्यही भएर चाहिँ हामीले सोलरलाई प्रमोट गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने नै हो हाम्रो बुझाइ हो यो। नेक्स्ट वान प्लिज। अब हामीले हाम्रो यो एइपिसीले अहिलेसम्म के गरिरहेछ त सोलर रुफटपको प्रमोसन गर्नलाई भनेर मैले अलिकति इन्फर्मेसन दिन खोजेको छु हजुरहरूलाई यहाँ। सोलर रुफटप यो फर इन्डस्ट्री एन्ड कमर्समा गरिरहेछौँ अहिले हामी, हाउस होल्डमा चाहिँ गरिरहेको छैनौँ। नो पब्लिक इन्टिटी एन्ड हाउस होल्ड्स युजर्स, हामीले चाहिँ पब्लिक इन्टिटी हाउस होल्ड युजरलाई चाहिँ सब्सिडी प्रोभाइड गर्न सक्दैनौँ अहिले हामी, किनभने हाम्रो पोलिसीले त्यो दिँदैन, पोलिसी ब्यारियर छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ। अहिले हामीले चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सलाई नै, प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई नै प्रमोसन गर्न खोजिरहेको छौँ सुरुमा चाहिँ हामीले। र यसमा हाम्रो यो प्रोजेक्टमा चाहिँ 50 किलोवाट पिकदेखि इलिजिबल हुन्छ प्रोजेक्टहरू र लेस देन 1000 किलोवाट एसी। यो हुनको कारण चाहिँ यसको रिजन बिहाइन्ड दिस इज if your project is 1000 kilowatt or more than this, then you should follow the EIA. You should do EIA. environmental impact assessment. So to avoid that and to make the project cycle shorter, so we have opted to go with 50 kilowatt to less than 1,000 kilowatt at AC side. So if you see the investment, how we are implementing, how we are promoting solar rooftop here in Nepal is one is through capex model, that is asset owned by commercial and industrial entities, and other one is ओपेक्स मोडल द्याट इज थ्रु इनर्जी सर्भिस कम्पनीज. अब यसमा के हुन्छ भने क्यापेक्स मोडल जस्तै कुनै पनि इन्डस्ट्रीको चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्री त सोलर पिभीको लागि भनेर एक्सपर्टिज हुँदैन उहाँहरू त. कुनै एउटा गोर्खा ब्रुवरीमा हामीले गरिरहेको छौँ, गोर्खा ब्रुवरी भनेको त उहाँहरू ब्रुवरी इन्डस्ट्री हो र त्यो ब्रुवरी इन्डस्ट्रीमा उहाँहरूको सोलरको एक्सपर्टिज नहुनसक्छ र त्योसँग सम्बन्धित रिलेभेन्ट एक्सपर्टहरू नहुनसक्छ. त्यही भएर उहाँहरूले चाहिँ इनर्जी सर्भिस कम्पनीको थ्रुबाट यहाँ नेपालमा यस्ता सोलर कम्पनीहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ जसले चाहिँ यो सोलर आफ्नो इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गरेर सोलर चाहिँ त्यो इन्डस्ट्रीमा इन्ट्रेस्टेड इन्डस्ट्री अथवा कमर्सको बिल्डिङमा रुफटपमा राख्नुहुन्छ र उहाँहरूसँग पिपिए एउटा एग्रिमेन्ट गरेर सर्टेन इयर्सको लागि 20, 25, 15 इयर्स म्युचुअल अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङमा पिपिए गरेर र सोलरको आफूले इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गर्ने र त्यसबाट जेनेरेट भएको इनर्जी चाहिँ त्यो क्लाइन्टलाई बेच्ने, त्यो इन्डस्ट्रीलाई बेच्ने, कमर्स र इन्डस्ट्रीलाई बेच्ने. त्यसलाई हामी ओपेक्स मोडल, इनर्जी सर्भिस कम्पनी मोडल, एस्को मोडल भन्छौँ. भने अब कुनै कति इन्डस्ट्रीहरू चाहिँ कमर्सहरू चाहिँ यसरी आउनुहुन्छ कि होइन हामी आफै गर्छौँ, मेरोमा आफ्नै इन्जिनियरिङ टिम छ, हामीलाई हाम्रोमा टेक्निकल टिम पनि छ, त्यही भएर हामी आफै गर्न सक्छौँ, वी क्यान डु इट भनेर उहाँहरू चाहिँ म एसेट ओन गर्छु, आफै चाहिँ यो ओनरसिप लिएर आफै गर्छु, म चाहिँ इन्भेस्टमेन्ट पनि आफै गर्छु र त्यो एसेटको ओनरसिप पनि आफै लिन्छु भनेर एसेट ओन मोडल, क्यापेक्स मोडलमा पनि गर्नुहुन्छ कतिले. धेरै चाहिँ हाम्रो अहिले ओपेक्समा चाहिँ धेरै आइरहेको देखिन्छ अहिले पछिल्लो समयमा चाहिँ. भने क्यापेक्समा पनि कोही कम्पनीहरू इन्डस्ट्रीहरू आउनुहुन्छ. यो अब यो हामीले कुरा गरिसक्यौँ. यो चाहिँ हाम्रो सब्सिडी, आरी सब्सिडी पोलिसी अन्तर्गत चाहिँ हामीले अप टु 50% इन्ट्रेस्ट सब्सिडी फर 5 इयर्स दिन सक्छौँ भने अर्को चाहिँ अप टु 1.5 पर किलोवाट आवर जेनेरेसन बेस इन्सेन्टिभ भन्छौँ हामी त्यसलाई, जिबिआई. त्यसलाई चाहिँ एसिसिएफ विन्डो अन्तर्गत, सस्टेनेबल इनर्जी च्यालेन्ज फन्डको एउटा विन्डो छ नेपाल सरकारको, त्यो अन्तर्गत यो दुईटा मध्ये कुनै एउटा चाहिँ हजुरहरूले चुज गर्नुपर्छ. इन्ट्रेस्टेड चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सले चाहिँ गभर्मेन्टको सपोर्ट लिने हो भने चाहिँ मैले अब यति चाहिँ भन्नु, मैले अब 5-6 वर्षदेखि यो सोलर रुफटप हेर्दाखेरि के देखिन्छ भने गभर्मेन्टको सपोर्ट लिनै पर्छ भन्ने पनि देखिँदैन. यो हजुरले इफ यु डु द फाइनेन्सियल एनालाइसिस अफ सोलर रुफटप सिस्टम्स, इट इज नट necessary that you should take government, you should rely on government incentives. Without government also your projects can be financially feasible. त्यो अहिले चाहिँ हामीले 1 इयरको प्रोजेक्ट एक्सटेन्सन पनि भएको छ. यो सेप्टेम्बरमा प्रोजेक्ट वाज गोइङ टु एन्ड, बट वी हेभ 1 इयर एक्सटेन्सन. देन द न्यू प्रोजेक्ट कम्प्लिसन डेट विल बी September 2026 for this specific project. So under this project, we will be implementing 30 megawatt peak of solar rooftop systems. And our assumption is based on the current practices and trend. We have assumed that 25 megawatt peak would be under IBD. IBD is interest buy down. And 5 megawatt peak would be under GBI window, generation based incentive window. That is just our assumption. It can vary. So under this project, our CO2 emission reduction target is 7,300 tons per year with this initial target of 15 megawatt peak. And with the next additional 15 megawatt peak additional target, this will be plus. So then the geographic targeted area to implement this project is nationwide. Actually, this would be implemented in on-grid areas only because all of these solar rooftop systems would be grid connected under net metering mechanism with NEA. हाम्रो यहाँ चाहिँ अब यो सोलर रूफटप र ग्रिड कनेक्टेड दुईटै अहिले सोपानको सरले पनि हाइलाइट गर्नुहुन्छ होला. यसमा चाहिँ अब NEA को रोल चाहिँ धेरै हुन्छ. मैले देखेको अब AEPC को भन्दा पनि नेपाल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अथोरिटीको रोल चाहिँ धेरै भाइटल इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई चाहिँ. किनभने विदाउट NEA we cannot even imagine the grid connected systems, even net metering as well as PPA projects. किनभने NEA ले permission दिएपछि मात्रै will be able to connect it either in net metering or in case of PPA projects. त्यो दुईटैमा चाहिँ उहाँहरूको गाइडेन्स, उहाँहरूको टेक्निकल स्ट्यान्डर्ड, उहाँहरूको पर्मिसन चाहिँ एकदमै भ्यालुएबल हुन्छ। त्यही भएर एनइएको रोल चाहिँ धेरै नै इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ नेपालमा यो अब आउने दिनहरूमा पनि प्रमोसन गर्नको लागि सोलर रुफटप र ग्राउन्ड माउन्टेड दुईटैको लागि। So last one, if you see my last point, मैले यहाँ के भन्न खोजिरहेको छु भने यहाँ हामीले रुफटप सोलरहरू कसरी गर्छौँ भने सोलर रुफटपलाई हामीले आइसोलेटेड मोडमा गरिरहेको छैनौँ अहिले, किनभने सोलर रुफटप हुन्छ छानामा इन्डस्ट्री र कमर्सको लागि, त्यसमा एनइएको ग्रिडलाई पनि सिन्क्रोनाइज गर्छौँ र it is now BESS can replace diesel generators. मैले थाहा पाए अनुसार नेपालमा पनि ग्रिड प्लस ब्याट्री एनर्जी सिस्टम राखेर डिजल जेनेरेटर्सलाई रिप्लेस गर्ने चाहिँ स्किमहरू एक्टिभिटीहरू एक दुईवटा प्राइभेट कम्पनीले सुरु गरिसकेको छ नेपालमा पनि, र यो छिट्टै यसले पेस पनि गेन गर्छ होला, किनभने डिजल जेनेरेटरको केसमा डिजीको कस्ट इन्क्रिजिङमा ट्रेन्डमा गइरहेछ भने यो त कुनै दिन त संसारबाटै सकिएर जाला, कति वर्षसम्म केही लिमिटेड समयसम्म होला नि त फोसिल फ्युल भनेको त, डिजल भनेको त। यो मैले म ब्रिफमा भन्छु, धेरै टाइम लिँदैन यसमा चाहिँ। यो इन्ट्रेस्ट बाई डाउनमा तपाईँहरूले इफ यु आर इन्ट्रेस्टेड, इफ एनी commercial entity or industry is interested to apply for solar rooftop implementation with interest buy down, then this will be the process, how it will go. So first we'll receive application from you, and we'll upon the compliance of our requirements, we'll provide letter of intent LOI to you, and you will do detailed feasibility study. You will submit the DFS report to AEPC. Then we provide conditional approval against DFS report approval. Then you will go to your bank, and you will have loan agreement between industry or commerce and the bank, your bank. And after that, after you will provide us, you will submit a copy of your loan agreement with your bank. Then with that, all the technical, along with all the technical documents, we'll submit all the documents to KFW headquarters at Frankfurt online. It will be online. It will not take much time. Then they will provide no objection. After KFW no objection, then we'll provide you the final approval. And you will be doing supply and installation. And after that, testing and commissioning, then subsidy payment process will be done. So this is for 50% interest subsidy for solar rooftop system. We have recently opened the next window, another window also, that is generation-based incentive. Actually, this was practiced by Alternative Energy Promotion Center in previous project, which was supported by UK government through FCDO here in Nepal. They have already accomplished 20 megawatt equivalent of solar rooftop system here in Nepal. Throughout their project period. The project has been terminated website, through our website or our given email address. But in this case, you should go, you have to follow the online portal, and your concept note will come to us through our online portal. Then CREF, SCCF, along with DKTI project will assess that application, and we'll put it into initial screening committee. IESC is there, so that is a small committee, and the committee will decide whether to proceed ahead or not with this project. And if it is everything is okay, then we'll provide it to independent evaluation panel. IEP is there. This IEP is a team of experts. There is a list of experts we have listed. So one project will be sent to at least 3 independent evaluation panel experts, and they will evaluate this your project, and they will give feedback also. If there is any feedback, then it will go to you, and you will revise your concept note, and it will again come back to us through online portal. Then we'll be doing reference check, in-house reference check. This is not your responsibility. It is APC responsibility. We'll do reference check, and we'll send it to KFW no objection. After KFW no objection, it will go to investment committee meeting, IC. This investment committee is chaired by Joint Secretary of Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation, Government of Nepal. So this committee will finally approve your project, and will give you the final letter to go ahead for installation for necessary activities, further activities. So next one, please. If you see the progress, what we have achieved till date under this KFW supported DKTI project here in AEPC, inside AEPC, this 4.35 megawatt peak we have already completed these numbers projects, and under installation we have 9.11 megawatt peak, and DFS already received is almost 14.5 megawatt peak, and LOI issued is 8.37 megawatt peak. Actually, if any industry or commerce is interested to apply for generation-based incentive or interest buy down, then you can apply, you can send application to us by 15 July 2025. 15 July 2025 is the cutoff date for application. Will not be able to accept your application after 15 July 2025. So I hereby request you all, if you are interested to apply for solar rooftop in AEPC, then please submit your application or concept note latest by 15 July 2025. So I've just tried to list out few opportunities and challenges regarding solar rooftop promotion here in Nepal. So we have huge potential, as we all know that. If you consider household, public buildings, institutions, and CNI entities, and all the industries here in Nepal, then the potential would be very high. So huge potential is there for rooftop promotion here, application here in Nepal. And it will also be helpful for green energy decarbonization in industries as well as other institutions also, and for the nation also. And if you see the financial feasibility, I already talked about it. If you see the financial assessment of these solar rooftop projects, even without any government support, then the payback period would come around 7 or 8 years. Then it should be attractive project for you without any government support also. So if you see the nationally determined contribution NDC 3.0, which was published, approved in 2025, recently in May 2025. So you will see that the target of electricity generation of Nepal by 2030 is 14,031 megawatt, while by 2035, by next 5 years, it is almost double, 28,000 megawatt. So what it is written there inside this document is, and out of these value, 10% will be from variable renewables. That means solar, wind, or any variable renewables. If you see the 10% of 14,000 is 1,400, then 10% of 28,000 is 2,800. So there is a huge potential in the textbook, but let's see what happens. For these to achieve, we need a lot of UN's government support also, and from private sector also. So if you, it will be also helpful to deal with the electricity import from, to reduce electricity import from India during daytime. We all know that even during daytime in the dry season, electricity has been imported from India. And I was wondered by reading this news on the newspaper, I was wondering why we are doing that. Instead of importing solar electricity in the daytime from India, we could have promoted solar energy here itself inside Nepal, because solar can generate electricity during daytime easily, so no technical hurdle at all. So we can generate solar electricity in the daytime. It can be injected to in Nepal Electricity Authority power system. Then we may not need to import during daytime. I'm not talking about evening or peak load time. We may require to import during peak hours, but not in the afternoon time. But good thing about solar rooftop is almost all of the commercial entities run in the during daytime, and industries most of them run during daytime, and they require more energy in daytime. So solar rooftop is very complementary to any electricity grid also, to avoid electricity import from India. And we have opportunity to, because of the cross-border transmission lines, we may have opportunity if your power generation from solar is excessive, then even in that case, if Nepal cannot absorb that electricity, then you can transport it to cross-border also. So if you see the challenges, especially mostly they are policy related actually. So if you see the policy regulation mechanisms here in Nepal, I find them very inconsistent and unpredictable. So for private sector, I guess the private sector wishes to have more consistent and predictable policy and guidelines to promote anything, any technology, not only solar energy, to promote any technology, any business sector. The private sector will be seeking for, will be hoping for more consistent and predictable policy and mechanisms. So in solar also that applies here in Nepal. We should have more consistent and predictable policy. And if you see the net metering mechanism, what is happening is here in Nepal is, if you see the government of Nepal the directives, there it is clearly written that up to 1 megawatt peak of alternative renewable energy sources like solar and wind can be installed, connected to grid with the net metering mechanism. But based on the one board decision, Nepal Electricity Authority is allowing us to connect only up to 500 kilowatt peak of systems under net metering mechanism. That is one of the hurdles which is bottleneck for us to promote more than 500 kilowatt systems under net metering here in Nepal. So if you see our projects in the recent times, most of them are more than 500 kilowatt peak systems. In this case, we will be having problem to connect with National Electricity, Nepal Electricity Authority grid. But we are hopeful that we are talking to, we are in continuous discussion with Nepal Electricity Authority and Government of Nepal, Ministry of Energy to make it, to avoid this cap of 500 kilowatt. And we think that, we think that cap is not necessary here. We can make it very open. So if a private sector was to do 4 megawatt peak projects on their rooftop in their vicinity, then they should be able to connect it to the national grid. Actually, हाम्रो यही प्रोजेक्टमा रिसेन्टली एउटा इन्डस्ट्रीले 4 मेगावाटको रुफटप सोलर गर्न खोज्नुभयो, तर हाम्रो यही पोलिसीको कारणले हामीले 4 मेगावाट, अब गभर्नमेन्टकै पोलिसीले 1 मेगावाट भन्दा हामी जानै सक्दैनौँ र हामी 1 मेगावाटसम्म गयौँ। उहाँहरूले के गर्नुहुन्छ अब भने अनफोर्चुनेटली 3 मेगावाट पिक उहाँहरूले आफ्नो तरिकाले गर्नुहुन्छ, 1 मेगावाट पिक हाम्रोमा अप्लाई गर्नुहुन्छ। र अब we are not sure NEA will be allowing us to connect it to grid or not, even that 1 megawatt. Under net metering. So we are in continuous discussion with NEA. त्यही भएर मैले अघि पनि भने नेपाल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अथोरिटीको रोल चाहिँ धेरै नै इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ, भाइटल छ हाम्रो यो सोलर प्रमोसनको लागि नेपालमा चाहिँ। APC को रोल चाहिँ मैले अलि सानो देख्छु, कम देखिन्छ छ। APC को रोल भन्दा नेपाल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी र DOED गभर्नमेन्ट अफ नेपाल MOEWRI को रोल चाहिँ एकदमै भाइटल छ। यदि नेपालमा ग्राउन्ड माउन्टेड र सोलर रुफटप प्रमोसन गर्ने हो भने, साँच्चै गर्ने हो भने। र ब्याङ्क फाइनेन्सिङ, ब्याङ्कको सरहरू पनि आउनु भएको छ। यो ब्याङ्क फाइनेन्सिङ चाहिँ प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेन्सिङ हुनु पर्यो भन्ने हो मेरो कुरो चाहिँ। किनभने यो अब यो प्रुभन टेक्नोलोजी भइसक्यो, यो संसारभरि प्रुभन छ, नेपालमा पनि प्रुभन भइसक्यो भने यसको लागि हजुरहरूलाई त्यो कोलाटरलहरूको चिन्ता लिनुपर्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्दैन। इट क्यान बी कम्प्लिटली प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेन्सिङ। वान अफ द ब्याङ्क्स इज डुइङ इट इन नेपाल। सो र लङ्गर टर्ममा हुनु पऱ्यो। यो भोलि हजुरहरूले 6 महिना 1 वर्षलाई गरेर हुँदैन होला। यो चाहिँ लङ टर्म ब्याङ्क फाइनेन्सिङ चाहिँ बेस्ड अन प्रोजेक्ट फाइनेन्सिङ। I have heard that few banks have a sustainable banking unit also. They have dedicated unit for sustainable financing also. So I'm very hopeful that they will be doing it. So, next one. So मेरो धेरै बाँकी छैन अब अब क्लोजिङतिर लागिसकेँ म। यो वे फरवर्ड चाहिँ के हुनसक्छ भन्दाखेरि हामीले अब गभर्नमेन्ट अफ नेपाल, मेरो रिक्वेस्ट चाहिँ इभन आई एम अ गभर्नमेन्ट इम्प्लोइ my request to policymakers and government organizations, MOERR, ITUAD, and NEA would be, we should have at least consistent and predictable policy to promote renewable energy here in Nepal. And if we are able to provide, if we will be able to provide this consistent and predictable policy, favorable policy to private sector, then private sector will themselves will be able to implement projects and programs. Then we may not be needed also. The subsidy may not be needed if the policy is consistent and predictable. And PPF grid-connected solar should be for a longer period of time, and it should be available. If you see the PPA also, you cannot predict what will be, for how longer time it would be available, and what would be the rate. Rate is always fluctuating, always changing. So in case of net metering also, we should avoid that. We should avoid that cap also. We can make it open for all the capacity of the systems to have net metering actually. Net metering ma ke bhairachha bhane naam chai net metering cha. By the definition, it is net metering in the document itself. But के भइरहेछ भने नेट बिलिङ भइरहेछ फेरि हुने बेलामा चाहिँ तपाईको नेट मिटरिङमा जस्तो त्यो मिटरको नेट दुईटै सोलरले कति जेनेरेट गर्यो एनएबाट कति कन्ज्युम गर्यो भन्ने नभइकन नेट बिलिङको हामीले प्रोसेस गरिरहेछौँ अहिले हामीले गरेको चाहिँ नेट बिलिङ हो तर भन्नलाई चाहिँ वी आर कलिङ इट नेट मिटरिङ बट वी आर डुइङ इज इट इज नेट बिलिङ र मैले एनइएको सर यहाँ सर म्याडमहरु आउनुभएको छ भने उहाँहरूलाई के रिक्वेस्ट हो भने इन आवर सोलर रुफटप सिस्टम इन केस अफ सोलर रुफटप सिस्टम्स हामीले वरी हजुरहरूले वरी हुन किन पर्दैन भने not much of the energy generated will be injected to your NES system because almost all of the energy generated, electricity generated by our solar system will be consumed by the industry itself because it is more captive system. Then why we need to connect it to national grid, NEA grid is just to synchronize the system. We need to connect solar, DG and NEA grid because हामीले के गरे हुन्छ भने यो सिस्टममा फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी सोलरलाई दिएको हुन्छौं जस्तै 1 मेगावाट 500 किलोवाटको सोलर छ भने दिउँसोको समयमा घाम लागेको बेलामा 500 किलोवाटले जति दिन सक्छ त्यो पहिला हामी सोलरबाट लिन्छौं अनि त्यसपछि सेकेन्ड प्रायोरिटी एनइए ग्रिड हुन्छ अब 500 किलोवाटले त इन्डस्ट्री चल्दैन त्यो बाँकी भएको सबै चाहिँ एनइए बाट लिन्छ र एनइए ब्रेक भयो आउटेज भयो भने चाहिँ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ सोलर प्लस डीजी ले चल्ने हो त्यहाँ एनइए आउट भएको बेलामा चाहिँ फेरि एनइए comes back then it will be solar NEA and DG combination. So for that also we need to connect it to NEA your system. So considering that our solar systems, the systems installed on the roof of the industries and commercial buildings will not be injected more electricity to your system. So please permit them, my request to you is please permit them to connect it under net metering mechanism. र बैंक फाइनान्सिङको हामीले कुरा गरिसक्यौं हस् नेक्स्ट अब हामीले अलिकति डिस्कसन गर्न खोजेको मैले यहाँ के भने यो पनि फेरि प्रेडिक्टेबल छैन कहिले के आइरा हुन्छ कहिले के आइरा मैले 24-25 वर्ष भयो एबिसी मा काम गरेको यो सोलर सेक्टरमा कहिले यसमा छुट भयो भने हुन्छ कहिले त्यो हट्यो भनेको हुन्छ कहिले फेरि आयो भने हुन्छ यो यसपालिको हामीले बजेट स्पीचमा हेर्यौं भने चाहिँ हजुरहरूले हेर्नुभयो भने चाहिँ अघि हिमांशुजीले पनि भन्दै हुनुहुन्थ्यो उहाँको रिमार्क्समा यो एउटा राम्रो मेसेज चाहिँ के आएको छ भने गभर्नमेन्टले प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई सपोर्ट गर्न खोजेको जस्तो देखिन्छ यसबाट मेसेज चाहिँ क्लियर छ यसमा के भनेको छ भने बजेट स्पीचमा हामीले डिटेलमा अझ हेर्न बाँकी नै छ तपाईहरुले पनि हेर्दै हुनुहुन्छ होला यो सोलर पीवी सेक्टरमा प्रयोग हुने सबै इनर्जी जेनेरेसन गर्ने इनर्जी जेनेरेसनमा प्रयोग हुने इक्विपमेन्ट कम्पोनेन्टहरु सबैमा 1% मात्रै भन्सार 1% कस्टम ड्युटी र अरु सबै भ्याट चाहिँ भ्याट र एक्साइज ड्युटी चाहिँ एक्जेम्पसन गर्ने भनेको छ दैट इज अ गुड थिङ फर प्राइभेट सेक्टर आई गेस तर यो पनि कहिले यो चेन्ज भइराछ हरेक वर्ष यो चेन्ज हुन्छ त्यो भएर प्रेडिक्टेबल हुँदैन के प्राइभेट सेक्टरले अब के प्रेडिक्ट गर्ने त अर्को वर्ष के हुन्छ भन्ने नै त्यो प्रेडिक्टेबलै छैन त्यो नेक्स्ट गरौँ मैले एक दुईवटा शेयर हजुरहरुसँग शेयर गर्दाखेरि यो यति कार्पेटमा भन्ने इन्डस्ट्रीमा हामीले 316 किलोवाट पिकको सोलर पीवी सिस्टम इन्स्टल गरेको हो यो नेक्स्ट वान यो चाहिँ गोर्खा ब्रुअरीमा 508 किलोवाट पिकको यो भित्रको मैले चाहिँ यो यसमा चाहिँ सनग्रोको इन्भर्टर युज गरेका छौं हामीले नेक्स्ट वान यो हामा आइरन एन्ड स्टिल इन्डस्ट्रीज सिमरा 12 मा छ यो यो नेक्स्ट वान जस्ट मैले यो क्विकली हजुरहरूलाई देखाउन खोजेको कस्तो हुन्छ भनेर हाम्रो ती अहिलेसम्म हामीले हेरेको चाहिँ इन्डस्ट्रीको भयो भने यो कमर्समा चाहिँ जस्तै लभिम मलमा ललितपुरको यहीँ नजिकै छ हजुरहरूले हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ लभिम मलमा पनि हामीले गरेका छौँ यो लभिम मलको हो यो चाहिँ हस् थ्याङ्क यू
We also look at distributed generation management. So this whole issue about rooftop solar, not more than 500 kilowatts, and that this system will bring a lot of instability in NEA's grid, all of that we are trying to address. We are also looking at battery energy storage systems, because that's going to be the key going forward. A number of things which Mr. Rai has already mentioned about, I will also explain a bit. But these are some of the things which we are looking at. And we hope to see a number of changes in the policy and regulatory framework of the government to make the solar industry more vibrant. Why solar? You know, I'm always asked this question. I've been a hydropower engineer for the last 35 years. I still love hydro. Most of us in Nepal are hydro engineers. We love our heritage. Brilliant, 6,000 rivers and 83,000 megawatts plus. What's happening now is we just have about 3,602 megawatts of installed capacity. This is the latest number from NEA in the system. This is not the off-grid, this is the on-grid system. And most of it, almost 70% is with the private sector. So I had founded the Independent Power Producers Association also almost 25 years back. And it's a very vibrant organization. It's doing a lot of work, principally for hydropower. And that's why we had to set up this Solar Power Producers Association. We wanted to bring this industry forward. A lot of challenges are there. As I said, everybody is a hydro engineer. We have so much potential of hydro in Nepal. But look at what is happening. Climate change is having a major impact on all of the hydros. Upper Tamakosi, they had major problems last year. Hewa Khola, Dordi Khola, look at all the disasters which are happening. So this is extreme conditions in the hydrology, meteorology of Nepal and the Nepal Himalayas. But what is affecting most of our projects, which are primarily run-of-river hydros, is that the low flow in the rivers in the dry season is getting lower. And the dry season is getting longer. So that's the time we need most of the power in the system, because our load is maximum during these winter months. Right? We need to heat up our, our homes. We need to do a lot of stuff which requires a lot of electricity. In the summer, we have flash floods. So we have longer, drier, dry season and shorter, wetter, with high intensity precipitation summer months, causing a lot of landslides, flash floods, a lot of damage to the existing power plants and to the potential new power plants. And I have been advocating, I still have excellent friends in the hydro community. Please do a stress impact assessment of all of your hydrology, especially for climate change. Make sure you are resilient to whatever is going to happen during the years to come. It's not only the temperature, it's the precipitation, it's the floods. And that, to a large extent, can be managed through introducing solar in our electricity system. Very complementary, as Raiji has already mentioned, in the dry season, we have less water in the river, but we have more sunshine, right? That's the time when we have more sunshine. No clouds in the sky. And during the monsoon period, we have a lot more water in the river. You can generate more electricity from hydro projects, less from the solar plants. So very complementary system, right? And rather than importing electricity from India, from coal-based and dirty coal-based thermal power plants from India, we should have our own generation. To add on to this, we have about 500 megawatts of peaking run-of-river hydros in Nepal. Now, what do they require? Well, most of them right now are being run on a 24-hour basis during the winter months, especially. They should not be operating in that mode. They should be storing the water during the daytime and running only during the peak hours. That's not happening. If we have solar plants in the system, they can easily store the water during the daytime and run the peaking plants in the peak hours in the evening, because that's how they are designed. Solar can supplement that type of generation. I didn't bring my presentations today, but I have some beautiful graphs on that. Yes, there is an issue with solar and other variable renewable energy sources. They are intermittent. They may be generating at full capacity, and all of a sudden you have a cloud in the sky. The generation goes down. The load is still there, so there will be a swing in the frequency of the system. How do you manage that? At the moment, the hydro systems have their own governors, which react within 2 to 3 minutes to take up that load. It's 2 to 3 minutes where you can have variation in the system stability. That's going to cause a lot of stress on the system and is not desirable. But there are solutions to this also. Battery energy storage systems, the response time for grid instability is milliseconds. So when you are looking at milliseconds versus minutes, we need to introduce more of these battery storage systems in there. And that's one of the things that we are advocating. Now, batteries have two roles, principally. One is to provide grid stability, as the incident I just described. The other is to do peak shifting. What you can do is you can have your solar plant or lower priced electricity to charge your batteries in the daytime, and then use these batteries to serve the electricity demand in the evening peak hours. So this is called peak shifting. So peak shifting and grid stability done by battery energy storage systems behind the meter or in front of the meter, excellent services to the system. We need to move on from just hydro. Hydro is good, hydro is vibrant, but it has its issues. We need to have an energy mix where all of these energy systems are in combination. Yes, so why this association? Because we need to have, as Mr. Rai mentioned, a stable and predictable legal and regulatory framework for any industry. It's not necessarily the electricity industry. For any industry, we need to have stable and predictable. These are long-term investments, 25 years, 30 years. We need to be predictable about what our returns are going to be. We are already facing the forces of market, but we need to minimize these type of exposures and minimize our risks. So on the policy advocacy front, there's a lot to be done. Yes, the government has come up with this policy of 10% of the installed capacity to be from variable energy sources like wind and solar. Why 10%? If you look just across the border in India, it's 24%. The grid will find its own equilibrium. We don't need to specify these type of restrictions. So we have been advocating from our side, let's do more solar, let's do more batteries, perhaps some wind. Wind probably is not very feasible in Nepal, but we need to have predictable solutions. That very interesting page Mr. Rai showed about the VAT on solar projects. I just completed a 25 megawatt ground-mounted solar project in Kapilvastu. Last year when we started construction of the project, all of a sudden this surprise came from the customs department. You have to pay VAT and all of the excise and everything on solar projects, except for the modules and inverters. We were totally aghast. Our financial numbers just went through the roof. Total unpredictable situation. Additional burden on the project. Bank financing was already closed. Now, who bears the cost? It is the equity participant who has to take it. We went from pillar to post. We went to the customs department. We went to the finance ministry. We went to the energy ministry. AEPC was so supportive in this whole process. Nothing happened. We were given promises, and we waited for 3 months. Our trucks, almost 70 trucks were at the border for almost 3 months. So imagine the demurrage charge, the detention charge, the yard charges, this and that. Costs really went up. So very unpredictable situation. Yes, but we took the burden, we built the project. And lo and behold, what happened this year? It has been removed. So what happens? Do we get a refund from the government? I don't think so. Once the money goes into the Rajaswa Khata, it never comes out. Anyway, so you have to be very careful here. We are hearing about other issues as well. As you might have heard in the recent budget, all hydro PPAs will be take and pay, meaning dispatchable power. Now, which bank is going to fund such project? Who is going to take that merchant risk? At the moment, NEA is the sole off-taker of all the electricity from private players. And if you take away that comfort which the equity participants and the banks have, you are in deep trouble. Your project is not going to be financed. Gone are those days. I remember in the early 2000s, we had built 2 merchant plants. I used to work for a Norwegian company at that time. In India, we did 100% merchant hydro plants, 112 megawatts and 192 megawatts. Those are probably the last 2 projects, first and last 2 projects, which were merchant. Merchant meaning there's full market exposure. You don't have a PPA. Right? Without that, nowadays, no bank is going to finance the project. So a lot of uncertainty is coming up. Then if you look at the solar industry, and I always like to compare it with the hydros. Hydros, you have a feed-in tariff, 8 rupees 40 paisa, 4 rupees 80 paisa, brilliant tariff. 8 times escalation, 3% per year. You are welcomed when you go to NEA to sign a hydro PPA. But solar, you have to go through an auction. Earlier, it used to be a feed-in tariff. Now there's a reverse auction. So the benchmark tariff, 5.94 has been set, and you have to bid below. Why? Why this step-brotherly, step-motherly treatment to solar? Why? How are we different? So, those are some of the things we have to really work at and get parity. Whatever facility is available to solar, to hydros, at solar, we also need to have that. Yes, quite a few of the facilities are there. For example, the 10-year tax holiday is there for us as well. And then the 50% tax holiday for the next 5 years. The duty waiver has been re-established. Hopefully we get a refund. Look at other issues also. What is most important for a solar project? Let's say a ground-mounted solar project. You need land. The reason why the tariff for solar ground-mounted projects was reduced from 7.3 to 5.94 benchmark tariff was what is happening in India. NEA's board decided that solar electricity is very cheap in India. Why not in Nepal? Let's lower it. Without looking at the basics of why solar electricity prices are lower in India. India has a solar power park policy. The area where you have to develop a project is first developed by the government. They acquire the land, they do the grading, they do the fencing, they do the studies, techno-economic studies, environmental clearances, everything is done. Then only it is auctioned. Then you get your 2 rupees, 3 rupees, auction prices in India. This is Indian rupees. We can't have that here. We have to do all of that here ourselves, and there's a cost to that. That's not been accounted for. What has been fortunate for us is what has happened in the international market, that the price of the solar modules have come down. That has helped us. Otherwise, we would have been shot. But yes, stable and predictable legal and regulatory framework. That is the mantra we need to have. So as I said, land foremost for these type of ground-mounted projects. Rooftops, why limited to 500 kilowatts? Why not just leave it out? I think one of the reasons why NEA is worried about these rooftop solar going beyond 500 is the small quantum of power being injected into the system. The distribution system of NEA is not very stable, right? Very old transformers, very old cables, so there's outages all the time. And if you are going to inject small quantum of power in different locations, it'll be extremely difficult for them to manage that system. So they are very much against it, but we need to work with them, educate them, and make sure that they are willing to look at these type of projects as well. Batteries. I think they have now woken up to the fact that batteries have a very good role to play. Earlier it was all storage hydros and daily peaking ROR hydros. Now they are thinking of pump storage hydro, which is also good. But takes a long time, very long gestation period, a lot of ENS issues are there, R&R issues are there. Batteries can be installed very quickly. They can stabilize the system very in a very short framework. Yes, so a lot of things to be done. And what I've always been telling to my friends in the hydro sector, I still love hydro. I am doing hydros. Because of climate change, the water flow patterns in the river is getting very erratic. The glaciers are melting. Because we are importing very dirty electricity from India, all that black carbon which is produced from burning of the dirty coal is coming and settling on our glaciers. And our glaciers are melting faster. Very soon we may not have any glaciers. So if there is no glaciers, then we may not have water in our reservoir except for the monsoon precipitation. But the sun will always be there. So we have to build more reliance on sun. And take this as an integrated system, not a standalone system. So I would like to wish Golchha Green Energy and KSL a very fruitful time in Nepal. And we see more EPC contractors coming up. When we did our project, when we started the procurement process 1.5 years ago, very few contractors in Nepal. Indigenous, I think there's only one, but that was also a joint venture with India. Then, we saw a few Chinese companies also coming up. But we need to have more competition in the market. One of the things I've always said is, whether it's hydro or solar, safety during construction, safety during operation has to be, prime. And then the environmental and social governance issues, which Mr. Rai also mentioned about the KfW standards and the World Bank standards. At our project, we follow the IFC performance standards. And, we were fortunate to have a very good bank with us, Standard Chartered Bank. They also insisted on us, for us to do all of these things. And then the quality. Quality consciousness has to be there. We have seen some projects where substandard materials have been installed, which have failed in the first year of operation and are a big loss to not only the investors and the bank, but also to the entire industry. So at our plant, we had 5 layers of quality control. So even if it is not 5 layers of any of the other plants which are going to be developed, at least have 2 layers of quality control. And make sure that you have quality products at the site. Make sure these are tier 1 modules, tier 1 inverters at site. Don't compromise on the quality. You have 25 years of PPA. Now,